Welcome.
Hi,
Town
thanks so
Hall.
much.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. We appreciate you joining us this evening. This is the Live with Nature Foundation's Town Hall Get to Know broadcast. And we are welcoming you. I have a very special guest this evening. We're actually carrying the conversation forward from last night. We had a special, What is Human Trafficking? And it was very powerful, very informative, had a lot of answers and solutions. And if you did not see that, make sure that you go take a look at it. Absolutely. I don't know that I've uploaded it to YouTube, but you can certainly check it on our LWN Foundation Facebook page. Um, I just want to tell you that human trafficking is actually modern day slavery. And sorry about the background noise here. Together, we can help put an end to this tragic situation that's taking place all over the country. We need your help. We are talking tonight with Jody Parr, and we're going to be going over some of the issues with respect to that. And we want to put an end to human trafficking. And you can help us, as I had said. Now, I want to just welcome Jody. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, Stephen, I am good. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very, very welcome. I want to thank you very much for last night. You shared your story, shared some solutions and some prevention ideas with the viewers. And I'm glad that you're back tonight so that we can just kind of go over some of the things that we weren't able to get to. It's amazing with 2 hours, and we still didn't get to all the different topics. Why don't you do this? Why don't you, of course, this show, folks, is about people that are making a positive impact in their communities. And Jody is making a huge impact in her community. She actually is an advocate for putting an end to human trafficking. She does videos on this. She educates people and she tries to raise the awareness. And that's what we're trying to do. This is a project that we're working on for really the next couple months with the LWN Live with Nature Foundation. And we're just pleased to have Jody with us this evening so that she can share her wisdom with you. Now, Jody, why don't you just tell the viewers a little bit about yourself so that they can get more familiar with you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. I am a survivor of human trafficking. I escaped when I was 18 years old, and that is the story that I told last night about being lured in and for the different signs that you can actually look for, being very careful who you trust, being very careful who your children are trusting. But 23 years later in life, I am now a best-selling author. I am a podcaster. I'm a YouTuber. I'm also an influencer. I do a lot of spiritual influencing because I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't by the grace of God. I'm telling you, I would be somewhere in a ditch. I'm pretty sure of that. So I just love to help people, inspire people, and motivate people, not only through my story, but also hearing other stories of people who have also been through traumas in their lives and come out on the other side. So I do faith over fear a lot because that's kind of my staple.
Well, and tonight is, I named it Survive and Thrive, because
Yes.
that's what we were talking about last night. The terrible things happen, and sometimes we can make decisions that aren't the healthiest for us. But these experiences, if we allow it, can be the opportunity to learn, to grow, to become stronger. And then what I found in my own particular case is then to go out and reach out to others and help them so that they don't have to go through the pain and the suffering that I did. It's always better to learn from somebody else's pain, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And also just knowing that we're all in this together, you can go to a grocery store and stretch your arm out, and you're probably going to touch somebody who has been through something very traumatic in their life that maybe they've told somebody, maybe they haven't. But we have to remember that. And especially when we come across people who are mean or, are upset or angry, you have to know there's a reason they're that way. They're not just born angry and hateful. Things happen to us in our life that make us that way.
They do, absolutely. And particularly with the pandemic and social distancing, I mean, I think that that's created a lot of division. It's also created situations where in the home, It's created some difficulties there because we're not used to being in a close quarter situation with our loved ones. We're used to going to work or whatever. And so that's actually increased the domestic violence situation that's
Mhm.
taking place and the abuse. But we want to really focus tonight, though, on the human trafficking and offer some solutions up, folks. And we want you to stay tuned with us because if you change the channel here, you're going to miss something that's really important. And we are planning to educate you to be talking about this to your children because that's the important thing. And so let's just start with that, Jody. Why do parents get, let's just use the word fearful about talking to their children with respect to human trafficking?
So I think a big part of that is fear. I think they fear that their kids are going to think, oh, well, why are you talking to me about this? Same as with the subject of sex, right? But it's a very big difference between the two. One, you have people that are actually looking for your kids. I mean, they are what I call trolling, and
Hmm.
so if your child is out there on social media and they are being extra sexy or they are doing these provocative dances or things like that, then you can bet a trafficker is going to zoom in on that. And so I understand that teenagers think they know it all, but they don't. And so that's why I always stress to parents, if you don't want to have this talk with your kids about human trafficking, get them my book. 14 and above, I believe that they can handle my book. Is it hard to read? Yes, but it is true. And that is what most kids need to know, is that this happens, that it's not just my mom's uncool, my mom's just not, letting me do this and that, and I want more followers on social media and my friend gets to do it, because you never ever know who is watching you. And that is what you have to know, is that these guys are predators and they're looking for you. And here's the second part of that. They don't always look like human traffickers. There's actually young kids who recruit young kids. So you have to be careful who your kids are even talking to. And sadly, this is the world that we live in.
It is. It has certainly changed since I was a kid. I mean, I used to run around and play and not think twice about really anything. Um, Particularly strangers. And I know that they coined that term stranger danger, and it's a difficult
Mhm.
thing, as I mentioned last night, that we have to teach our children to not be trusting, but there's a fine line here. What we have to do is be aware of the things that they might say and do that wouldn't be very typical of somebody that you just met on the street, type of thing. But these guys, like we talked about too, they're cunning, they're patient. They will wait forever to make their final move. And it's all based on dollars. It's all based on dollars.
Mhm.
And that's what's really sad.
Yeah, it definitely is. I even spoke to a woman that she was pretty much groomed. That's what we call whenever they're on the phone with you for hours. That's when they're telling you everything you want to hear. They're listening to you. They're telling you they're going to buy you this, buy you that. I'm here for you. But she was groomed for a whole year. So they're working on getting your trust. So you have to be careful, especially if you are on the internet talking to somebody and you don't truly know who that person is, because they'll go to great lengths in order to lure you in. And then they don't have to do the dirty part. They sell you. That's what happened to me. The guy that lured me in was very good looking, GQ. I mean, I never would have thought he had anything to do with anything evil, or, because he didn't look it. And that's what my awareness is that they don't look it all the time. And some of them get paid just for getting you. And then the person that buys you is where the ugliness really happens. And so that's important that they know that.
It's
Um,
hard for me
human,
to even wrap my mind around the concept that somebody wants to buy you and then they consider that they own you. Now, I know that that might be some other cultures consider that. And particularly women don't have the same rights that they do in other countries like they do here in America. And so that's a cultural difference, but people aren't property.
right. No, absolutely not. Not even in other countries should they be. And I was 18 years old and I was sold in Mississippi, a very small town. And that's why I keep stressing this over and over. This happened in the 90s. This was before technology. This was before this thing got to be $1 billion business. And so it's so important that people know that human traffickers, like women, women are also human traffickers out there. So you got to know who you're trusting your children or your teenagers around and who you're trusting yourself around. If you're a middle-aged woman and you're single, be careful who you're putting your information out there to on the internet or who you're talking to or are these dating sites. Like these traffickers are everywhere, including video games. I know a guy 16 years old that disappeared from another small town where he was video gaming with this guy, and he left his parents a note and said, I'm going to New York. I've got an apartment waiting for me there. I've got an incredible job waiting for me there. I'm so excited. Mom and Dad, I'll call you as soon as I get there. They never heard from him again. That was it. So you've got to know, even video games, who are your kids talking to?
Well, I think the problem here is kind of twofold, and I take responsibility in my own case with my own granddaughter for giving her the opportunity to have the technology to be able to reach and look at just about anything without any restrictions. And we were talking about that, and that was a huge mistake, and I take responsibility for that now, because I believe that she put herself, well, the kids these days don't know how to socially interact like we used to. We used to go out and play and look for the neighbors and, have fun. But that's not the case today. Their fun is derived off of the Matrix. And they believe everything that they see. And when someone says, "Oh yeah, you can come and stay with me," and if they're younger or they're portraying themselves younger when they aren't, "Oh yeah, my parents said it's okay, we'll take care of you," and because the kids struggling, these are difficult years for children. And so they can be at odds with their parents. And the next thing you know, they're running away and you never see them again. And that's what the terrible thing about it is, that most of these individuals, and it is boys and girls that are abducted, you never see them again. That's the end of it. And if they survive it, it's an amazing thing. And so we're very pleased that you've survived and been able to then share this message with others too. I want to just mention this, and I mentioned it last night. It's about human trafficking, and it's about the concept of what the UN considers human trafficking, and it's the act and the means and the purpose. And so the act is recruitment or transportation or harboring or receipt of people. The means is threats, use of force, coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power or vulnerability. And you mentioned that, Jody, about the vulnerability. They zero in if they see that you're vulnerable. And they receive payments. And then the purpose is to exploit the prostitution of others, sexual exploitation, forced labor, slavery, removal of human organs even. And what I didn't mention was forced marriages, forcing people to get married because it's about money, and parents selling off their children for X amount of dollars, and the highest bidder wins.
Yes.
It's not what I would consider a really happy marriage necessarily.
It's culturally normal in some.
It is called totally normal in some countries, absolutely, and that's the cultural difference, and I can accept that. I don't have to agree with it though. But you, Randy, I know you did a lot of studying on this, and you had a question that you wanted to present to Jody.
Well,
go ahead and tell us that.
Just up front, you just mentioned runaways. Jody, do you think a lot of younger girls that would run away from home and wind up on the streets for even just a short period of time would be easily snatched up, and are they a prime target?
Yes, of course, because they're looking for security. They're looking for someone to take care of them. And so these traffickers come along, and in the beginning, they love bomb them. I've actually talked to a girl that she thought it was her boyfriend, and it took a while for her to realize the danger that she was found in, that it was actually a pimp. And then he started pimping her out to other people, because once you get in, it's very hard to get out. And so these girls are very vulnerable, but also I wonder how many really run away, because by the grace of God, I escaped twice. And if not, I would have been a runaway. I was rebellious. I was trying to live this lifestyle I saw on TV that was so great. And so I feel like it would have been, oh, she just ran away, and we don't know where she ran away to. And I wonder how many victims are out there that didn't actually run away. They just got lured in and taken.
Exactly. And I might be a little bit off topic, but I know that, and I'm trying to think of his name now. I just mentioned him earlier. Randy, the guy from the 70s show.
Ashton Kutcher.
Married to Demi. Ashton Kutcher. And Ashton, this is a big deal for Ashton Kutcher.
Yes.
And actually, Layla, who was with us last night, knows Ashton. And so I was hoping to maybe have him with us too, but I understand he's so busy, because this is an important factor, that he is working on the software to try and be able to track the missing kids. And somehow or another, and I don't know the whole of it, maybe you can explain that, to be able to know who these kids are, have a database, and then put information out, I'm sure, so that we can maybe find these children.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, I wouldn't know how he would do that exactly without putting some kind of chip in them or something of that nature.
Well, I think it has more to do with registering missing children.
Registering them, yeah.
And then just trying to find them how?
I'm not sure. I just assumed that that's the whole idea. If we register them, then we can put pictures out of who they are. You remember the milk cartons, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the missing children, exploded missing children, they do that all the time. But the problem was, I believe a lot of times these kids either get shipped off to other countries, underground, in ways that you don't ever see them again. And that's the scary part of it.
That is scary. And you're right.
I applaud Ashton Kutcher for everything that he is doing to try to end it, and to try, he is a true hero for that. And also Tim Tebow just put like $1 million into also fighting this. And that's what Jason Sanaris was saying last night is, you don't necessarily have to go out and be a person that goes in and rescues people to think that you can help. You can open your wallet. You can donate to these places that are actually rescuing them. And then the most important part is putting them through healing. Because when you go through a trauma like that, I'm here to tell you, it definitely will take over your mindset. It will definitely take over your body. You are imprisoned as that person still in that room until, by the grace of God, I was healed. That, through Jesus with me. A lot of people may have a different higher power, but I got to tell you, that's how I was healed. I get chill bumps. But that's the most important part. So,
it really is it's supporting the survivors, or the people that decide to get out of it, or those that can escape if they're in like a more of a captive situation, or a forced labor situation, or a forced marriage issue. To be able to get the, particularly I would assume, a mental support to be able to get themselves together, because it would really mess with your minds. And I know that all trauma tends to affect us in a very profound manner, and it's really about how we deal with it. And I had to go through a whole heck of a lot, or put myself through a whole lot, as well as my family and my loved ones and children and all that, to finally get to the point where I am today. And by the grace of God, this LWN Live with Nature Foundation, it continues to evolve and to grow, and to know that, human trafficking is paramount of importance. And I'm just so glad that we've been able to come together so that we can be a voice and talk about it, because you know what? The mainstream media doesn't talk about this stuff. They suppress it. And you mentioned earlier that, we talked about how Hollywood, they glamorize this stuff. And I'm thinking of, like the movie Taken, where what they do is that they turned it into I'm a vigilante. Now we talked about that. Now clearly Jason's a vigilante. He goes back after children for real, and this needs to happen.
Yes.
But it's done legally within his, it's not like I'm taking a gun and I'm going to blow this guy's head off when I catch him.
Yeah, kind of like a bounty hunter.
Right. They're more like a bounty hunter. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about how Hollywood is glamorizing this, and what's your take on that?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that question. It's a great one because, when I did see the movie Taken, and it definitely disturbed me because there's so much more than what they're showing, right? They're kind of making it look like it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, she was, there was bad things that happened to her in that movie, but it was more about the movie than it was about the human trafficking side of it. And I feel like Hollywood and everything else protects human trafficking. Why? I don't know. But, if you think about the movie The Passion of the Christ, right? Your
Right.
heart was ripped out. You were crying. You were feeling that movie. But when I watched Taken, it was more of like an excitement, and then her uncle or whatever came in and rescued her. And it did show different parts of it, but it didn't show near what you go through. And so
Right.
I feel like Hollywood protects traffickers. I don't know why that is, but I feel that that is, and there is a Christian producer right now who's fighting against that, and he's actually looking at releasing movies that are going to be more impactful and less entertainment towards this subject.
Well, that's it. Is that TV? A lot of TV and movies is quote entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognized that, and I didn't realize it until I was, as a kid and living in Southern California, going to Universal Studios and seeing the behind the scenes of what goes on, and recognizing that when I paid close attention to movies, there's always missing parts. They do a great job of making it seem like totally real life, but there is missing parts that aren't shown that need to be there for it to happen the way it does.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So it is not for real, and that's what you got to bear. That's what I decided. Bear in mind that what I see in the movies is not real.
Right. Rise of the Butterfly is more of a realistic of what human trafficking is than Taken was.
Yes.
Just that short video,
That's a great video. We played this video last night. Rise of the Butterfly. That's with Layla Love. That is a nonprofit foundation. As a matter of fact, we're in collaboration with Rise of the Butterfly, and we're doing fundraising because all of the monies that the LWN Live with Nature Foundation collects from donations from you viewers supporting this cause, which is helping survivors of human trafficking. We're giving 50% of all those donations straight to Rise of the Butterfly. And she's got a clothing line. She has artwork. And we're going to, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be having it all in our store on my website so that you can go there. You can get a discount. You can get 10% off and get some great stuff. And that you're helping a person that like Jody, and goes to the education and the rehabilitation of these people that have experienced that. And they do need that. And I'm trying to not talk too much because it's really about you, but what it's told me, what I've recognized, what the message that God gave me is this, is that the LWN Foundation, as part of our transformational centers that we are going to be opening, part of this program, I want to deal directly with the survivors of human trafficking because they need our support too as well. Not only just the homeless people and people that are addicted to drugs and people with mental health issues, but have also anybody like this that might be suffering from a very traumatic situation. So I'm glad that it was my awareness to do this. Now, why don't you tell the viewers about some of the things that you're doing, because you're an author, you've written a book, you do all these videos. Tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely. So God's blessed me in so many different ways. One thing especially is when people read my book afterwards, they look at me and they're like, how are you even like this? You know, because it's by the healing grace of God that I am. But I've also I'm coaching. I'm coaching and mentoring those who have been through trauma in their lives. A lot of them have never told a single soul about it. A lot of them don't want to, but are able to, and they have those breakthroughs that are so beautiful because they let go of what happened to them and they realize that freedom comes from forgiveness. Unless you forgive the person who hurt you, it's just that person's going to continue to haunt you. And so I do what I call transformation coaching, spiritual coaching also. And I as well, there is In Slavery, Tennessee here in Nashville. And I do volunteer work with them before COVID, of course, because now it's kind of like everything's kind of shut down. But
Mhm.
I've reached out to so many different nonprofits. I have a guy with a jewelry line that wants to do a par collection, and I'm giving all proceeds to that to start foundation to start ministries is the one I would like to do, just to be able to help and give back, because that's what's so important to me, and especially for the ones that are going in and rescuing. And I know that they're also faithful servants, and so that makes a big difference to me. So that's happening. My second book, Breakout Silence Center, is to release this year. It's been
Mhm.
a long time coming, but it's coming, and I'm excited about that. And also just doing interviews like this and just
Mm.
getting awareness out there.
Right. Now, have you actually come up with a specific program, or is it like individual type counseling?
I'm actually coached under Tim Story, so I follow a lot of what he does. I'm also a certified life coach through another program that I did, which is healing and different things like that. What I don't dabble in is NLP. I have friends that do that kind of coaching, and so if it's not in my wheelhouse, I will refer them to somebody else because I know where my wheelhouse is in certain areas. It's not my wheelhouse.
That's totally understandable. That's what's beautiful about the team spirit too, is that I mentioned last night, because everybody has a special gift, regardless of who you are, and then together we take our special gifts and we put it together and we become a powerful team,
Yes.
and then we can help people. And that's what I've been doing, is just trying to collaborate with the kind of people I want to be around, like yourself, Jody, and building this just huge list of resources, because I don't know all the answers,
Right.
and there are professionals that do. And so at some point, all of these types of services will be within this transformational center. But in the meantime, we're able to get people to the services that they need. And so, services like what you provide for um, survivors of human trafficking is super important. And it's a real key part that we are excited to be able to have as an offering for our clients here at the foundation. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
so
you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
um,
I
okay.
also do a podcast too called Faith Over Fear. And with that podcast, I have guests on there that have also been through things in their life. So that's another just platform that I'm using in order to get my story out there and let other people know that they're also, their stories are important. Nobody should ever be ashamed of your story. Your story is your story. So
Mhm.
everybody's story is different and unique, but it's yours and you should share it.
Exactly. That's what I found. Sometimes people are afraid to share their
Of
story.
course. I didn't for
And
23 years.
yeah, and I was too.
Yeah.
For me, it was the drugs and the alcohol, that I could be literally drunk, and they'd say, "You've been drinking," and I'd say, "No, I wasn't." And it's like, come
Yeah.
on, who was I fooling besides myself?
Right.
But I was so afraid of other people's judgment. That's what it was. And because people would judge me, and I would own their judgment of me, that would make me feel worse about myself, and maybe, okay, let's have another drink.
Yeah,
So it's a vicious cycle,
it
but
is.
it's a vicious cycle that we can break out of. And it doesn't matter whether it's the drugs or the alcohol or the shopping or whatever the choice is. If it's not healthy for you, boy, you should think about changing it, right?
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
yeah. Now, Randy, you had a specific question you wanted me to talk about here. I know that I have more questions too for you, Jody. I know that Randy is wanting me to ask something. Why don't you go ahead and just ask that question you want?
Well, there's been a lot of media silence lately on a lot of different things. But I think that Ghislaine Maxwell, the ex right hand woman of Jeffrey Epstein, is in a federal prison right now, but not a word is on the news. You
Hmm.
know, why is that? Can she bring down some really important people, or is half of the government scared, or is Hollywood paying to keep it quiet? What's going on there?
Probably all the above, but the three words that I would say is $1 billion business.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And there again, it's all about the money. And
Hmm.
see, it's different for people like yourself and I, Jody, that the money is not our goal by
Mm.
any stretch. I mean,
Mm.
granted, we need to have money to be able to pay. I found as even a homeless person, I had to have some money to get
Yes.
some things,
Right.
but money isn't our object. It's we need the money. The more money that I have, the more money I can help other people. That's plain and simple of it because it's about pay it forward. And that's the beauty. And so that's why we're so different than these others that are keeping it quiet, that don't want to talk about it, that have all this money and they want to just keep it quiet because they want to keep their little in my mind treacherous business going. It's terrible. Can't even believe it that it's happening. But mm, money is not. I said this last night. Money is not about the money issue. That's the evil part of it.
Mm.
It's the people behind it that are the evil, and those are the guys that need to be stopped.
Yes.
And yeah,
It's profit over people. And people get this mixed up. They say that the Bible says that money is the root to all evil. That is not what it says. It
right.
says the love of
That's
money
right.
is the root to all evil. So, what would you do to get it? That's where the evil part comes through. And that's where this business is so evil because of the disgusting things that they're doing just to get money. And so, yes, it's people over. I mean, it's profit over people. So
Hmm.
they don't care about people's lives. They don't care what happens to them. It's all about money.
Yeah.
And sadly, it took me a long time, especially when I forgave the men that did this to me. And I realized that what did you go through in your childhood? Like God revealed that to me. Like what did you go through in your childhood that was so bad that you're willing to sell a person? Was it that you strive that much just to have money? Just because you thought that that's what would make you happy? Because I guarantee you, these people who are selling people and doing these evil acts are not happy. You're not happy. You're trying to either be someone you're not, or you're trying to cover something that happened to you, but you're not happy. There's no way that you are. And so it's hard for me to even say this, but I know God wants me to, and there is freedom for you too. You know, Jesus died for all of us, no matter what we did. And I had to forgive those who hurt me and put me through what they did. But I have to even pray for them because they're a person and they're a soul and they're important. And somebody hurt them along the way. And that's why they are inflicting pain on other people.
You're exactly right.
Amen.
Yes, you're exactly right. I say this, if Jesus, he was so brave
Mm.
and so selfless that he gave his life for us so that we could be saved, so that we
Mhm.
could be looked at by God without sin, even
Mm.
though we are sinful, but be looked at by God like, okay, you are perfect. And, imperfect as the world can be perfect, right? In our own unique ways.
Mhm.
But the fact is, if he was willing to do that, why should we hold things against ourselves? When he
Mm-mm.
did that, he took that ultimate sacrifice. It's like that doesn't even make common sense that we should hold things against ourselves, but we can. And what I've learned is that that's where the support and actually NLP I think is important. I'm going to try and learn more about that. But I know about cognitive behavioral therapy, which I think was really the predecessor there. And it's all about the thinking. It's all about rewriting the tapes that are in our subconscious from the traumas, from our perceptions of, being a victim of other people, of owning other people's opinions, and having to try and impress the guy next door instead of worrying about actually impressing, in my book, God. He's the one we really need to impress in the end. And when we take care of ourselves, then we're able to better take care of others. And it's a long, hard process. I know that. I'd like to go ahead and go to a commercial break. Folks, stay with us here. We've got more information coming your way. We do have a moment here where we're going to look at a commercial with the Total Coatings. They do transformation of tubs and tile with a porcelain glaze that's safe, non-toxic, makes it like new. But the point is, they do transformational change on tubs. We here are trying to do transformational change and positive input on people. Stay with us.
We let our bathtub go too long. It had rust in it. It had deep pitting in it. There were chips. I, quite frankly, thought it was unrepairable.
Total Coatings is a family-owned and operated bathtub and shower refinishing company. We've been around since 2006, but we use a exclusive non-toxic porcelain coating that was developed over 60 years ago by a franchise in California. So the product is very well established. We refinish bathtubs, showers, wall tile, countertops, and even sinks. Customers want to know what makes our product different, and that's, of course, the exclusive non-toxic porcelain. We also don't acid etch the surface, so you don't have to leave your home because of noxious fumes.
I was completely and utterly shocked. It looked like a brand new bathtub. I would recommend Total Coatings to anybody.
All right, we're going to be back with Jody Parr in just one moment. I just wanted to let everybody know I've got another video here. I want to show you that. I did play this yesterday. By the way, if you haven't watched that show that we did yesterday, it was a 2-hour special. What is human trafficking? And it was about answers. It was about awareness, and it was about prevention. And we're carrying that conversation forward. We'll be doing that actually over the next several months. I'm going to be having all of the panelists. Jody Parr was with us last night. She is a survivor of human trafficking, and we appreciate her sharing her story as well as her wisdom. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is just play this video because the LWN Live with Nature Foundation is a resource for positive transformational change. We want to be able to help you have the best quality of life imaginably possible. And I tell you, life can get really good. And I speak from my own experience. I took myself all the way to homelessness because of some poor choices. But the point is that you can overcome anything, but it takes a lot of work. It takes consistency. It takes determination. It takes healthy routines to be able to do that. And so I'd like everybody just to be able to understand. I did this video back in January of this year. I'd like you to get a better feel for what I'm talking about here. And I think it very much applies to kind of the message that we're trying to portray here. And then we'll be back with Jody in just a few moments. Okay. I have 2020 vision, and I want to share that with you now. I'll tell you this. We are officially a nonprofit foundation. We are registered by the state of Florida, and we are going to be submitting our 501c3 documentation so that we are a tax-exempt foundation that is going to be here to help other people. That's what this is about. I want to let you know that I was built by God to be his servant. Okay, and that the LWN Live with Nature Foundation will be the vehicle for me to serve others in such a powerful way. I'm going to outline to you how that is. See, God's my bus driver, and he is in me, and he's an expression of me, and through me, we will spread the word of hope, and we will be a beacon of light in the darkness. That's what this is. It's about being light in the dark places. It's about, if you've been watching me sharing the dark moments of my life, which I have drawn strength from to be stronger and start sharing my story, and now have a national or international foundation. That's what we are going to be, an international concern, because we're going to help people all over the world. Now, I want to read this to you. I just wrote this morning, okay? What is hope? You'll see this on my website, by the way. Welcome to you, Melissa Osborne. Thank you so very much. And I did also want to say, Adam Shelton, thank you so very much for joining me, as well as Manny Laverty, Rachel Johnson, Derek Coleman. Thank you so very much. Okay, so here we go. What is hope? Okay. Hope rises from the phoenix of the ashes of broken dreams. It is from our darkest, most painful moments that empower us to have the highest moments possible in life and the best quality of living. I've fallen before, and now I rise from the ashes, and I will achieve a higher level of consciousness because of the strength from my past experiences. I'm built to serve other people, and I'm here to share my story about how to inspire people who inspire others, that they overcome the obstacles that they've experienced in their life, and that they will break through the barriers that used to hold them back, and that they will release the self-limiting thinking. That's what I did. And that's why I can sit here right now and share this information with you. It's so unbelievable. God will answer our prayers so much, maybe different than what we envisioned. And that's what he's done for me. So, you know, as a child, I was told by many people that I was a follower and that I wasn't a leader, that I was a dreamer, and that I wasn't being very realistic. Well, my awareness tells me today that I had adopted those particular philosophies as the rule for my life. Well, it became part of my belief system or my moral code because I owned that. And so I committed myself to falling into line just like everybody else and follow that leader, whoever he was, whatever sounded good, whatever I thought I was supposed to do at the time, right? Well, today it's different though. Okay, I don't live my life based on the opinion of other people anymore. Okay, I don't adopt their concept of what they think I am. I'm adopting the concept of who I know I am because I have found myself. I think
So
that's the important part. I found myself.
So good. So good. So good.
Yes. It's not easy because you have to be so honest with yourself, right? And it's kind of painful to go through that stuff, but it's okay. We can come out super winners and super happy.
That's
The
it.
best thing I've ever experienced is helping other people. That's
Yes.
the best gift I've ever gotten. Now, I wanted, again, Randy, like I said, he's done a lot of research on this. It's important to him as well. He has a question as well. Would you like to ask that question, Randy?
Yeah, thank you. When Steve and I were kids, you know, parents told their kids in the afternoon after we got home from school, go outside and play and, you know, be home at 6 o'clock for dinner. And that's what we did. Or, you know, sometimes we got to stay out until the streetlights came on. That was just how things worked. It was safe. Apparently, it's not so safe anymore. So, how do you feel that parents can convey an effective message to people about what we used to say was don't talk to strangers?
Yeah, and you know, even back then, there was still, you know, predators around, but they were just, it was not as big as it is today. It has completely got out of hand to where they're grabbing kids out of the parents' arms. So, you know, it's don't take your eyes off your kid. I mean, it's don't let your kid go out and play by themselves. You know, I talk about yard sales. Don't put your kid's name out there and your kid's age out there because every single predator or human trafficker that drives by knows your kid's name and knows their age, and then they can track them back to the daycare or school they go to, and then they can go from there. We just don't live in a day and age anymore where you can say just go outside and play, and it's sad that we don't. I actually had a woman that reached out to me whose daughter was running with some friends around their school and literally almost got kidnapped. I mean, it was by the grace of God they got away. And it's just that kind of world that we live in. And it's not to be fearful, it's to be aware. It's to be smart. It's to have eyes on your kid, not tell your kid just to go out and play in the yard anymore, because they are taking them over the fence. They are going in and getting them. I mean, sadly, as we've talked about, it's dollar signs. They don't just see a kid in the yard. They don't see your kid in the yard. They see dollar signs, and any way they can get that, they're going to go after it and get it.
Exactly.
Sad.
It is so sad.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I'm just being moved. I want to go back to the, it's not the money, it's the love of money. And thank you for clarifying that, because, when somebody is in love with money more than anything in the universe, they're going to do things that aren't necessarily very kind or very healthy for themselves. And you even said these people don't like themselves. And I agree 100%. They're going to put up this wall. Oh, I'm good. Things are great. I love it. Oh, don't you like my car or my house or whatever I bought, but I don't think anybody in their being true to themselves, find myself. That's what I said. That's where I ended that video. Can say, I feel good about doing that, or I feel good about putting somebody in a situation that was just oppressive, and that I profited it on them because they were oppressed.
Yeah, my guess would be they're self-medicating too. There's so much drugs involved with that they are numbing themselves to even deal with who they are.
Right. And that makes sense because, I was there too. When I was homeless, from that standpoint, I was not, at first I was pretty down on myself. I'd say, you just ruined your life. Everything was fine. And you just kept on not listening to the messages that you were getting. In my case, don't drink and drive. And the fact was, don't even drink, Steve. It just has never brought you anything good. But it took me to places that I really didn't want to be. It took me into bad places, really bad places in some cases. I mean, God.
But you're overcomer. Look at you now. So you can use that story to inspire others that are going through that right now, that are going through that, very confused state in life, or that self-medicating state in life, or whatever stage that they're going through. It's the breakthrough. It's that, look what God did in my life and how he changed me, and he can change you too. Freedom is not just for us. Freedom is for everybody. So it's, you can't serve two masters. You got to make a choice. And a lot of times, the enemy tries to make you think this is a sweeter choice, and it's not. And you know that in your heart.
Right. So when we get honest with ourselves, it's okay. And a key point that you brought up is about forgiveness of not only the people that have done you wrong, but for yourself, for the things that you've done wrong. And why don't you tell the viewers how you felt after you decided, hey, look, I'm going to forgive myself and I'm going to forgive the other people. How did that feel to you?
So I had to go through a deliverance prayer, which was a breakthrough prayer, and forgive every person that had hurt me. And at the end of that, it turned to me, and they said, now you have to forgive yourself. And it was I don't want to say it was more difficult than the traffickers that sold me, because I had a lot of hate for them, but it was definitely more difficult because I didn't love myself. And I didn't realize that once I said, I forgive myself, I give myself to you, that God would take all that from me, including the guilt, the shame, the rejection, I put my parents in danger. I put, myself in danger. Like, not loving yourself is usually what most people have the hardest part with. And it's that you have to realize, like, that's why Jesus died for you. It's because he wants you to put all that burden on him. You were never meant to carry it. The enemy just tricks us into carrying it.
Yeah. That's a good point. That is. And it can be changed. Yes. It can. And it's perspective and it's thinking there again. That's why I love going back to that. I mean, we're even hearing things like with Dr. Bruce Lipton that, in fact, your thinking can affect the genetic makeup of your body and your cells. I mean, think about it. When you laugh, or when you're happy, or when you're grateful for the things that you have in your life, immediately, just those thoughts make you feel better. That's making a molecular change immediately. Yeah, it
Mhm.
certainly is related to the neurochemicals, the serotonin as well, but it's stimulating our pleasure centers and making us feel good. And we just need to find more of that stuff that makes us feel good. And it's called gratitude. I tell you, I'm grateful for the fact that you're with us this evening, and you were a panelist with us last night, Jody.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to be alive, to be able to even,
Yeah.
have you share on this show and be able to be doing the things that we're doing to try and raise the awareness, specifically tonight with human trafficking and how that needs to come to an end. Now, we're down to the last part of our show, and I'd like you to share with the viewers about how you feel that they can thrive and survive, and then tell them about your book. You've got a book available as well. So let's hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in order for you to thrive, to survive and thrive, is for you to do what we really talked about tonight. And that is, you have to give that to a higher power. I mean, you have to. You were not designed to carry it yourself. And as you know, mine is Jesus. I don't know anyone else that's blood is that powerful or that has overcome the world. So that's just my go-to, and I can tell you from experience that it works. But in order for you to thrive in your life, is you have to move past your past. You have to quit blaming yourself for what happened in the past. You have to quit allowing those things that are haunting you to continue to keep you from where your destiny is and what you're meant to be. Because the enemy does not rob empty vaults. He knows you have power within you. He knows you have a plan and a purpose, and he's going to do everything he can to keep you from that. So you have to know that. And my book is Boss Breakout Silent Soldier. You can get that at jodyparr.com. I'll personally sign it for you. And I just appreciate you, Stephen, so much for everything.
Well, you're very, very welcome. I'm blessed to get to know you and to get the opportunity to introduce you to the viewers. And yeah, I want to do a special shout out here. I really must do this. It's